So we're out here at Bass Lake again, beautiful late winter day, and I'm here with Roland Gall. Roland has been one of the primary advocates for nature conservancy out here at Bass Lake. He's been part of the Bass Lake Working Group and has some plans for Bass Lake that we wanted to share with you guys. So Roland, why don't we start? Let us know a little bit about how you got on the working group and what you've done and your plans for Bass Lake.
So about 2017, I'm getting the right year here. The Promise Foundation was requested by the CSD to form some working groups looking at various aspects of this soon-to-be park. They had not acquired all of the land at that point in time. There were, I guess, 4 different parcels. Well, school district owned some of it, the EID owned a piece of it, Parker Development owned a piece of it, and the CSD did. Now it's one contiguous area, about 210 acres. The particular aspect of the park that I was interested in was that of natural history and maybe the concept of a nature center. My background, was back in the 1900s. I think 1963 through
late 1900s
through about 1970, working for the National Park Service in the summer as a ranger naturalist, working with young kids and leading hikes all over Yosemite Valley, Tuolumne Meadows, and that region. I quit teaching after a short stint there and worked for the Santa Clara County Redwood Glen outdoor education program in the Santa Clara Mountains, or actually Santa Cruz Mountains, and worked with 6th grade students there for about a semester. I'm fairly familiar with the concept of what occurs in a nature center, a nature study program. And what I'd like to do is to see some of the things that I had participated in and maybe elaborate on them at this park. We've got a really interesting environment here. We're standing in a meadow that's beneath an blue oak forest. And of course we have the lake behind us, and much of this lake will never come up to the full capacity any longer because it's only filled by rainwater. And those areas that were once lake bottom are now meadows that have been existing now for about the last 10 to 12 years. And they're slowly evolving and changing, which is one of the things we want to observe out here because nature's in a continual state of change. As far as I guess, is that a background enough, I think?
Yeah, I was just going to say, as we were preparing for this video, we found out that I also went to that same Redwood Nature Camp.
As a student?
As a student in 6th grade, yeah, around 1974 or so.
Right, so about 4 years after I left it, you were a student there.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, let's take a little bit of a walk and we'll talk a bit more in detail about some of the plans that you have in mind.
Okay, that would be fun. Lots of park.
Okay, so we've come about 100 yards, a little bit down closer to the lake. Roland, you shared your initial vision, kind of a low impact, low maintenance kind of vision for how this would play out. And you had shared some more detailed plans about the Nature Conservancy Center and a learning environment and so on. So maybe just take us in a little more detail about what you have in mind there.
Well, since the park has been planned, there were ideas about putting large ball fields in here, public parking to support the ball fields, and all the infrastructure for that, as well as areas dedicated to dog play and so forth. The price tag on that would be in the many, many tens of millions of dollars at this point in time, which is something that probably is not realistic for the next 5 or 10 years. Utilizing the area as a nature center, and we have 210 acres here that's composed of blue oak forest, the lake, meadowlands around the lake, chaparral forest beyond the lake on the other side. Uh, at this point in time, is accessible by trails that already been developed, and they certainly need to be hardened a little bit more for the kind of traffic and use we're going to eventually see.
Yeah.
As a nature center, we're thinking in terms of something that school systems will use. Guests will come in from the community, and the idea is that we may become a destination for folks beyond our immediate community. I'd like to see something I would term a life exploration center, where we're looking at processes that have gone on for tens of millions of years successfully. Everything around here has an origin that could go back, if not maybe hundreds of millions of years, if you're looking at the fungi and the grasses that are here. And we look at, why are these things so successful? And then we want to look at our own human society and see both the impacts that we've made on these areas, but in turn, learn something about what it is to become a successful organism here on our planet Earth.
Yeah. So what do you have in mind for when you say nature center? Is that a building? Is it a kiosk? Is it some trail maps? What does that look like?
In the case of this particular park, I envision the park as being the nature center.
Exactly.
The concept of having supportive facilities, restrooms, running water, electricity are significant, and places for people to park. People that live in the immediate community within a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, certainly can walk here, and they do at this very point. On the weekends particularly, we have lots of people walking their dogs through the park, occasional mountain bikers in there right now. But it's an area that has all of what we need to look at. And as a nature area, observation is really significant, and then questioning the why of why these things are here, why this community, natural community, has evolved to the point that it is at, and then continuing to watch it evolve into the future as we live here. One of the ideas I have had is that individuals visiting the park can actually adopt a section of it, photograph it, ask questions about it, try to research what they're seeing. And even if we have a docent program here, being able to send records of what they've seen photographically may be maintained by the community service district here in El Dorado Hills.
Perfect. Yeah, why don't we just walk a little bit further around the lake and talk in a little more detail about what it would look like and what the community can expect.
We're going to walk along a series of trails and into different natural communities, give you an idea of what the park has to bring you here.
All right, well, thanks.
We've just come across some buckbrush, which is the predominant species here throughout the entire park. It's an indicator of the chaparral. It's very drought tolerant, and right now it's blooming. So we're situated deep in a blue oak grove right now, which again is the dominant tree that we have here. Eventually, in fact, we're going to cross it right now, was a trail that we developed through the oak woodland. And we look like lots of gopher activity here.
So you had mentioned that the possibility of docents providing some teaching facilities, and how would that work? Who would staff that? And what would be the impact overall on CSD staffing, do you think?
Well, the one thing we're going to need on weekends, and particularly in the summer, and maybe in the afternoons, there are people out here supervising and giving folks an idea of the kinds of things to look for, things to do while they're wandering about the park. This is going to be all volunteers doing this, and we're going to need coordinators for the volunteers. So not everybody will need a natural history background, and we've actually developed training manuals, information manuals for those docents already to give them an idea of ways to interact with visitors.
Yeah, I saw in your proposal that you had the idea of geocaching. For people that aren't familiar with that, can you maybe describe that as one of the activities out here?
Right. There are coordinates, north, south, or longitudinal, latitudinal coordinates that your phone can access for any point that you're at. And you can actually specify a set of coordinates, and Apple Maps or Google Maps can zoom in on that and show you about where it's going to be. Or you can simply navigate, like with a compass, but this time using coordinates of latitude and longitude to locate something that we may have designated as an interesting location here in the park. Our nature trails, we're hoping to establish markers with that geocache location, the coordinates, as well as QR codes that would link you to websites that we've maintained, providing linkages to more information about a particular concept, an ecological concept,
Yep.
a particular critter that you may have found, or maybe a particular plant. And then volunteers are also probably going to help us maintain that website.
Yeah, awesome. Certainly kids these days know all about QR codes and all of these online geocaching activities. So that'll be great fun for them.
So we're walking along a major road, actually. We call this the Levee Road that goes around the perimeter of the lake. And it's pretty well paved. I have actually brought somebody out in a powered wheelchair here and taken this entire course that we're walking today.
Okay, well, why don't we pause here for a second and maybe you can show us where some of the new trail area might be added to continue around the
We can certainly
lake.
do that. Yeah, and we'll walk some of that.
All right, great.
So we're walking along a trail that's going to be further developed and paved, not paved, but decomposed granite. But this is chaparral that we're walking through right now, again, surrounded by this predominant buckbrush. And off to our right is the lake.
So Roland, remind me again what the role of the Promise Foundation is and where we could get some seed money beyond that.
Okay. The foundation controls about $60,000 at this point in time that's dedicated to the Nature Center and trails. Aside from that, that seed money is probably enough to see some of the nature trail interpretive signage even developed. We also have a piece of property that belonged to the EID that has buildings on it. It has asphalted parking areas. It has running water and electricity. Again, something in the near term that could be used for guests first visiting here.
Awesome. Hey, Roland, this has been a great educational tour around Bass Lake.
Right.
I really appreciate your time and your insight and your knowledge of all of the plant and fauna and flora around here. It's really been helpful.
Yeah, and I hope you'll come out probably every third or fourth week as the seasons change out here. Lots of stories to be viewed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the wildflowers and yeah, more sunlight.
Yeah.
It should be great.
And the coyotes, the mountain lions, and the deer.
Yeah.
And the gophers.
Even though there's so much to do, it's still great for people who want to walk, and they should be coming out
Right,
here.
and you're certainly welcome to bring your dog out and all your children as well.
Yeah. All right, Roland, this has been great. Thank you for your time.
You're really welcome.
Yeah.